Greetings ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Avenny's Game Room. Right, today I'm going to cover emulation, FPGA and original hardware. Which one is the best choice essentially for playing the games? Well, first I'll start up with emulation. Now, emulation has gained popularity for accessibility and versatility over the years. I remember my first emulators, I think it was a Spectrum emulator on Amiga in the 80s, I think, and a PC DOS emulator as well, which I was running stuff for school actually. I think I was running Lotus on it or something daft like that. Anyway, like I said, there's a lot of emulators around now, especially things like RetroArch, which allow you to play games from consoles and computers on almost any device. There's a few front ends as well. I'm not going to go into the front end so much. All I will say is I prefer Launchbox over most things, and I have an active license for that. But there's also sort of out of the box setups as well. You know, stuff like RetroBat, Batacera, Recalbox, Emulec, Lacquer, RetroPie. I mean, most of these are very convenient and straightforward to use. You just need to provide your own ROMs to get them up and running. There's also a lot of cheap Chinese Android boxes that you can get, you know, like the Super Console X and things like that. There's lots of retro handhelds as well, and generally you can find these on AliExpress and Amazon, and they come usually with a full set of ROMs. I mean, it's debatable on how good the ROM sets are with these. You know, you get a lot of duplicates and things, but what it does is it gives you a fairly good base, a good starting point to work from, to start editing them yourself, to sort of curate your own little set of games to play. Now, there is legal things surrounding ROMs and whatnot, but which I'm not going to go into, but the way I see it is this is pretty much the only way you're going to get to play 99% of these games. I mean, without being a collector for years like me, you're not probably going to have access to a lot of this stuff, and with the extortionate prices at the moment in the retro games industry, it's not exactly going to be cheap to build up a decent library if you're just getting into the hobby. So what I'd suggest is, if you're going to do emulation and things, get one of these boxes. You know, they come with all the ROMs and whatnot. I mean, that's what I'd advise anyway. If you go on like a real hardware route, then there's plenty of Chinese bootlegs you can get and EverDrives, and they're pretty much the way to go as far as I'm concerned, really. I mean, you could argue that emulation does lack certain precision and authenticity of the original hardware, but if this is something you're just getting into, or you've not played retro games for a few decades, I doubt you're going to notice too much input lag. I mean, especially with how mature these emulators are now. It's a lot of them are very, very mature. Now, moving on, we have field programmable gate arrays, or FPGA. Now, this is the hardware-based approach. In the most simple terms, it replicates the chips from inside your old computers and consoles, and the main advantage for this is parallel processing. It's probably outside the scope of this video, to be honest, but you know, so I'm not really going to go into that. I mean, you have devices like the Mister, which what they do is they're basically aiming to replicate the original console and its architecture exactly how it was. It's kind of a middle ground between emulation and original hardware, and it offers a much greater accuracy and reduced latency over emulation. Now, FPGA devices are generally praised for being very authentic and lag-free, but the downside to this is the price tag. They're not cheap. Although, I mean, you can pick up cheap ones. For example, I have a cheap B Micro FPGA board, and excuse me, my mate Ash ported a ZX Spectrum and Mega Drive core to it, and he made a little add-on board for it. And obviously this was long before the Mister was around. So I think it was late 2014, early 2015, if I remember right. If I remember, I'll put a picture of it on the screen at this point, but while I'm playing my truck game, I'm just going to continue on for now. Yeah, there was I was working on porting an Amiga core to it, and it was crashing after the initial boot run, and the main reason behind that was the FPGA board we used, it didn't have no SD RAM on it, and that was going to be the next step for Ash's add-on board. He was going to add SD RAM onto it, and like I said, this was back in 2014, 2015, and then not long after that the D10 Nano was released. So with that being a much better option than the B micro board we were using, we didn't really carry on with it for much longer than that. I mean, I did a bit of tinkering around, and it just wasn't worth it due to the amount of logic elements and things that the D10 Nano had over the B micro board. We kind of just left it drop really, and didn't bother with it anymore after that. And obviously shortly after that the Mister appeared. I mean, I would like to get a Mister at some point, but it's just too expensive at the moment. I probably should have bought the D10 Nano before the prices went a bit nuts. I mean, I'm kind of kicking myself a bit now because they're more than twice the price what they used to be. You know, it's, oh well, live and learn, I suppose. And then finally, the purest choice, which is my choice, to be honest, the original hardware. See, for me, playing games on the hardware they're designed for, it does offer an unparalleled experience. You know, it does capture the essence of the era. You're not going to get any more authentic than this. It's a very tactile and nostalgic experience. Obviously, it's not without its challenges. Original hardware, it might have that nostalgia factor, but it's all starting to age now. So you're going to have component failures, hardware failures, you know. Some systems are getting quite hard to get hold of now, so if you're just trying to get into it, that might be quite hard. Obviously the price is a big sort of, it's off-putting, put it this way. I mean, I'm lucky, to be honest. I've been collecting and repairing computers and consoles for the past 40 years. It's what I did for a job. I mean, now, unfortunately, due to me being quite old and health issues, I'm not working anymore, but I still repair my own systems and I keep them maintained and running. I don't really do any repairs outside of my own machines anymore, and I'm actually getting to the point now where I think when I get a Mister, I'm probably going to switch over to FPGA and keep my machines in the loft, I think. I mean, it's down to lack of space for me. I don't have that much space. I tend to have one or two systems out at a time, and the rest live in the loft, and I cycle through them every now and again when I fancy like playing someone else. But I don't know, I don't want to be climbing in and out the loft anymore when I'm dropping to bits, you know what I mean? As we compare emulation, FPGA and the original hardware, it's obviously clear that each one has pros and cons, you know. Emulation is affordable and it's versatile. FPGA, it does provide extreme accuracy, while original hardware gives you that sort of ultimate authentic experience, you know. I mean, that probably, I don't know, maybe it is rose tinted glasses, but that's just the way I feel about it. I mean, even though the original hardware is what I prefer to use, I still do use software emulators. I use FPGA. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the games, and as long as you're able to enjoy the games, I really don't think it matters what you use to play them, you know. It's emulation, FPGA or original hardware, as long as you're playing the games, I think that's all that really matters, you know. Just being able to play them and experience them. I mean, I'm not sure what other people think about this. What do you do? I mean, emulation or FPGA or Do you prefer the original hardware? Drop a line in the comments and let me know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.